This week we climb Celeste just to get a lobotomy because they won't believe that there are monsters under our beds. This and more on episode 146 of Indie Game Riot. Indie Game Riot! Hey everybody, I am Josh, joined once again by Eric Hunter and the squeaking of my guinea pigs. Tonight apparently is, I don't know, one of them just feels like being loud. So that's the thing. Anyway.
Heat.
Yeah. Ugh. God. It's the one, I don't even like that one. That's my wife's. The other ones are really chill. That one's kind of a bitch.
Like it.
She's kind of a bitch. I don't know what it is.
I didn't know you could classify guinea pigs by like that.
She's the only one that acts like a I don't know, like a jackass. So
good.
Anyway, how's your week been, Eric?
Been good.
Yeah.
Been good.
The wife.
Nice.
I see what you did there. I'm not falling for that trap. Nope. I feel like
No, it's been good. I've been we had Valentine's Day last week.
Yeah. Was it worth missing the show?
I'm not gonna answer that.
I mean, you better at least gotten a blowy out of it. That's all I'm saying. We're very open about our sexual lives here on this show. If you know Rev and Tech from before.
Dope. I sure don't. I just remember you. No, so kind of. I'm not a very emotional person.
Yeah.
Especially around like medium. Like I don't get teary eyed at like songs or music or
you cry
during movies or anything like that. But there are on occasion a couple of times where I've either experienced like watched or done something, like watched a movie or played a game where I felt like I was completely what's the word?
It's like that scene in The Grinch when your heart finally starts to grow.
No, it's not that. It's more of a you kind of lose touch with reality a little bit. You ever had that experience?
So you've reached nirvana?
No, it was a very scary place to go.
Okay.
It was not a.
I'm very interested.
I found this game called The Devil's Tuning Fork. Have you heard of The Devil's Tuning Fork?
I know what The Devil's Tuning Fork is, but I don't think I know the game. I might have seen some gameplay of it. I'm not
okay.
Sure.
So for those who may not know, The Devil's Tuning Fork is a first-person puzzle platformer. Oh, I hate saying those words together because it just annoys me. It's on the vein of
survival crafting.
Like, well, oh God, no, there's no crafting. But it's on the vein of like Portal and The Ball and anti-gravity, anti-chamber, yeah. Where there's no combat. It's just you're trying to figure out this very interesting game mechanic. And
that's good for our discussion point later.
Oh, we have a discussion point. Good. And the game mechanic is you are in a pitch black room and you have the Devil's Tuning Fork, which basically much like any tuning fork, when you hit it, it sends out a vibration.
I think I have
into
seen
the
this.
world.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can only see the world around you when you hit this tuning fork, and it sends like these ripples up. There's another game that came out recently that's kind of like it, but it's it's more of a telltale. Wow, man, I'm struggling with words today. Yeah, but I can't remember what it's called. I think it's from the same guys who from Fulbright, who did That game. Anywho,
It's those game makers that did that game about the game stuff.
struggling like a moron.
Yeah. We switched places. It's okay.
All right, good. Well, everybody gets the one. It happens every once in a while. So, in essence, the game seems fairly simple. You hit the tuning fork. It sends out this ripple of light. You kind of get an idea of the topography of the world, and you kind of move about, and you stop. It's pitch black again. You hit it. You go through. You hit the tuning fork again, and then blah blah blah. Anyway, so I don't know if it was real late or I had an odd day or something, but this game, it was like one of those things where I couldn't stop playing it because I was so terrified to stop because I was trying to figure out what it was, because like I kind of lost sense of everything playing this game. Like it kind of frightened me. Does that make sense?
The game was okay. So the game was frightening you, or did you just get sucked into it?
No, it did something psychologically to me.
Interesting.
I don't know how to explain it, but like I received a feeling from a video game that I don't normally receive feelings from.
Okay.
That's
so it just made you uncomfortable, probably.
Very, very perplexed.
Because I remember Tech had the same issues with Ori and the Blind Forest, and certain games like that just made. I don't know why, because that game. It was a good game. There's certain game. I kind of get what you're saying, because there's certain games that just resonate inside of you. They resonate inside of you, and it just puts you just a little bit off, like a little uneasy.
Yeah, like it like tapped into something emotionally from like way back when. Like I felt like I was kind of getting vertigo, like I was having trouble like finding my place.
I don't know if I've ever experienced that myself, like to that extreme, but I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I stopped playing it.
Probably for the best. That's kind of creepy.
Yeah, like I was only like 30 minutes in, and then when like I got to the point where I kept getting lost because I couldn't figure out where I was going, because obviously just the way that the game mechanics work out. And it's just like I can't fucking do this anymore. Like I just got to turn this game off. I immediately deleted
fucking
it,
tweaking
and,
out,
uninstalled it. Yeah, it wasn't good. It was.
Was that your Valentine's Day?
It was the day after.
Okay.
So had a pretty good day. Then I definitely dropped down.
Your wife comes in. Hey, honey, happy Valentine's. Get away from me!
Yeah. Pants around my ankles and got a tinfoil hat on.
Yeah. I've just been diseased for since the beginning of December.
Good.
It's been
good.
And just this past week has been pretty shitty. I've been dealing with a head cold that's now moved into my chest. I don't know how many of you are watching on high def, big screen, full screen, but I've got fucking cold sore on my goddamn lip now. It's fucking bugging me, and it's like I'm really self-conscious about it, so everyone make fun of me now. I fucking hate it. I'm pointing it out to
everybody has herpes. It's no big deal.
Well, I will say I've read up on it, and over 90% of the world's population has this cold sore strain. So fuck you all. You're all herpetic. Is that a word? Herpetic? Probably not.
Let me just type in prone to herpes and say prone to herpes.
So yeah, there's that. I mean, and then my wife had this nasty cold. My daughter has something where probably some sort of bacterial infection, because she has a fever that's hovering around 103 and it can't keep it down, and she missed school for 3 days and throwing up. My son just now is starting to get a chest cold or something. Ugh.
See, that's the difference between me and you. I have an out-of-body experience where my mind is expanded to alternate dimensions, and you have a head cold. It totally makes sense.
Same thing. I don't know what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I don't know. Some of that medicine, man, kind of makes you feel
some of that medicine makes you loopy as shit. Don't get me wrong. I've definitely had my nights where I was, you go through those benders where you're drinking for, 48 hours straight, and you're bar hopping for 15 of those 48 hours straight, and you can definitely realize that your body goes into a different drive. But yeah, some of that cold medicine, it'll lay you out.
Well, I don't know. On the occasion that I've had to take a prescription pain med, That's probably the most like, what the fuck is going on in my brain, but can't do anything about it. That's probably the most I've ever experienced that sort of thing. That was, I still have some, in case I have like a gallbladder attack or something like that, but...
why is your gallbladder attacking you?
Fuck if I know. I wish it wouldn't. It's some of the most painful shit I've ever experienced.
Please stop. Please stop gallbladder.
That and my ankle gets fucked up. So, but if I take that shit, I'm like out of commission for the day.
Damn.
It's fucking crazy. Anyway, you know what might make us heal up a good bit, ground us back into reality.
You'd be able to sharpen those skills on the downtime, but
segue. Indie News Injection. Thank you, Guinea Pig.
Are you bored with the same old games?
Yeah.
Why, then give yourself an Indie News Injection.
Thanks, Indie Games.
This week on Indie News Injection, the very first thing we're going to be talking about is Papers, Please, the short film that... can I get the damn image? Thank you. The short film that we've talked about a couple times before is finally being released and is going to debut on YouTube this weekend. I don't know... I should have actually read more in detail instead of skimmed it. But I don't know if it's going to be on Red or not, or if it's just going to be on YouTube. I should actually...
I think it's just going to be on YouTube because they're talking about releasing it on Steam too. So
yeah. Well, Steam makes you buy it. That's why. I mean, I guess they can give it away for free, but like videos, generally when you put like movies or films up on Steam, I don't know if they've ever given them away for free. But anyway, the fact of the matter is, it's happening this weekend. I've been looking forward to it because I love Papers, Please, and I think it's a really cool universe, I guess you could say.
I'm interested where they go with it. Like, I'm curious if they do. I mean, do you do the whole secret society thing? Do you do?
Oh,
or
you mean
do
like
you just show the oppression of this guy sitting behind this desk in this tiny little box checking people's papers? Do you know what I mean?
Like, because it goes in different directions.
Yeah. So like, which way do you go with it? Because I feel like, so in my mind, this short film is supposed to do a couple of things. Well, if it were me, it would do a couple of things. One of the things would be obviously to promote the writer and director. I don't know how much Pope had to do with it.
I think he was. I think he was pretty heavy on consulting with them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because at least with the writing, I would imagine.
But ultimately, you want to create an intriguing enough short film to have somebody buy the game, right? Wouldn't that be the ultimate end? To buy the game?
I don't know if that's necessarily what it's for. I mean, I would imagine that it will boost sales once again.
I'm just curious if that what would. I'm just curious as to where it's going to go because it's only 10 minutes long, so it's like, how much story can you really pack into a 10-minute short film?
And there is a trailer if people are interested, which is
9 minutes long. It's the strangest trailer. Like it's basically the whole movie.
Is it 9 minutes long?
No, I'm kidding.
I was gonna say. I was gonna say, the film's like 10 minutes.
The trailer's
long.
10 minutes long. How long's the movie? It's 10 minutes. It's just cut differently.
More specifically, it'll be out on the 24th, and then Steam will be a few days after that. So
I'm excited. I think I like stuff like this. I like when stuff like this kind of.
Well, people, and the other thing is, people will automatically like a video game, even though it's not a movie, but video game movies always suck.
That's not true. Street Fighter the movie was the shit.
Street Fighter?
The movie?
Jean-Claude
Van Damme?
I watched it once, like in the 90s, and I don't really remember. A lot of the video game stuff from the 90s, I have a skewed appreciation for. Because I was a kid, and I'm like, oh, it's awesome, Mario Brothers, and then I watch it now, I'm like, oh wow. Yeah, really what the fuck was going on there?
Like Mortal Kombat, like, man, this movie shits.
I love Mortal Kombat. Even now, I still kind of like Mortal Kombat. It's a guilty pleasure. Mm-hmm. I love the Mortal Kombat movies. You know what's
go ahead.
You know what's like an underrated video game movie?
Mm-hmm.
Silent Hill. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, Silent Hill's good for. It's a good horror movie.
What other movies do you think? Like a mini discussion here, but What other movies or indie games do you think would make good indie movies? Or
Oh Jesus.
Movies.
I mean, there's tons of them, man. I'm a big fan of. Let me look it up. Have you heard of The Devil's Tuning Fork?
Do you want to claw your eyeballs out? What about Bastion?
Bastion would be good.
Cool.
Man, that would be a hard story to tell too, because
there would be a lot of things to fill in.
I think
as long as the original
there'd be a
game
long
writers.
beginning, because you would have to tell that entire story of how the world became the world that you're in and why everybody's pseudo okay with it.
We could just go with the Cloverfield, the new Cloverfield movie, the way they did it, and just not give a fuck about that part.
Well, so you know the story about that though, right?
Yeah, I know.
Oh, okay. How it wasn't technically a Cloverfield movie?
Yeah. Well, I don't. Was that confirmed? That was. I thought that was just speculation.
The movie was completed, and then they went in and
They needed the
refilmed
marketing
the
of it.
last 10 minutes,
Right.
to make it a Cloverfield movie, and then they did some ADR to tie in that the space station's called Cloverfield. Blah 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 blah.
Okay.
How about Chex Quest
Oh my God! Wow.
or Hotline Miami?
Hotline Miami would be fucking trippy as balls. Like, talking about like Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas shit.
Yeah, but just like
Postal.
super
Oh yeah.
brutal.
Postal had a movie. I thought.
Yeah, there's a Postal movie.
Yeah.
It's not very good. It's by Uwe Boll.
Oh well, that's why.
Yeah, he's a trash compactor. God, he did a bunch of movies like that.
Well, that was his thing. He did video game movies, and he single-handedly like made it a trope that video game movies suck.
Yeah. Well, do you know why? That one of the big reasons why he did video games, movies,
What was that?
was because the country he lives in, which is, where does he live? West Germany.
Okay.
There's a when he was filming the movies, there was a clause in whatever their government contracts were, where they would only film, or they would only provide funding for movies that provided some sort of, I can't remember, there's like some very specific wording, and he was able to convince the government that they have to fund his films because they are based on whatever this very specific wording is.
So he just got free money out of it.
Basically, yeah.
I forgot he did House of the Dead. Far Cry though.
House of the
Far Cry,
Dead.
wait, did Far Cry have a movie?
No. Oh wait, there is. Yeah,
I don't even remember that.
2008.
Wow.
Let's find out who's in it.
Well, let's be thankful that he's not doing the Papers, Please movie.
True.
Short
Yeah, he
film.
did House of the Dead, Alone in the Dark, Alone in the Dark 2, Blood Rain 2, Blood Rain 3.
Faintly remember Alone in the Dark. Don't remember Blood Rain. Oh, here's another one that was good. I mean, we're stepping away from mini games, but the Castlevania series on Netflix, I thought. I really liked that.
I enjoyed those.
Yeah. Recently, they've been better than the hot garbage that's from the '90s, but they're kind of bland now. Like with the Assassin's Creed and
they're movies now, right?
They're generic movies. That's the problem.
Well, have you played a video game? Like, the things that make a video game are very rarely the actual environment or the story or the characters. It's always like the actual game itself. It's playing the game.
Well, look at Papers, Please. They can make this
playing the
movie.
game. We haven't watched this yet. This
But
could
it could be
fucking terrible.
It could be, but I'm saying, if you take games like this, Death Road to Canada would make a damn good movie. But I'm just saying, these indie games tend to be more narrative based, and I think they would do wonderful as
Right. Well, what I'm saying is the majority of the time, like, the writer-director team usually gets caught up in what you just mentioned, which was the backstory. Where it's like in a game, you don't really have to worry about backstory. You could just be like, hey, you're this person in this thing, doing this thing, have fun. Whereas in a movie, it's like an audience needs answers. They need to know why they care about these characters. They need to know why the world the way as it is. You know what I mean? Like, there's more work to be done.
He didn't do Super Mario Brothers movie with Dennis Hopper, which is just a treasure. Agreed. Baron Kraken. Also, hi, welcome to the stream. Castlemania, I think he meant Castlevania, was a pretty awesome show.
Well, hold on, he might have something here. Castlemania. So are we talking like Castlevania cross WWE WrestleMania? Because I'm in.
It's
I
just
will
the
take another
Undertaker.
WWF
The
arcade
Undertaker
game.
is the end boss.
Oh God, that would be perfect. He rises out of the ground and fucking the lights go down.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Who's
Give me that game.
Are there any wrestlers that use whips? I don't remember. A PUBG movie would be the most generic of generic.
That movie already exists. Where do you think PUBG came from?
Call of Battlegrounds.
Huh?
I just realized that it's the same name, so it didn't work out. Forget that. I was trying to make a joke, but it didn't work out because it's bullshit. Anyway, FTL would make a great movie. I don't know how roguelites would do.
If they could stop time, that would be awesome. If that was like the shtick of these roguelike, is like, no, we could stop time in these movies.
Yeah,
it was a good joke. Brad.
I think actually I think roguelikes could do well with like these short film. Film thing.
Where it's like here's the snippet of the campaign that failed.
Yeah,
here's what happened. Let's go back.
Battle Royale. Yeah, I guess Battle Royale is kind of like a fucked up version of the PUBG movie. Yeah, GTA 5 would be a good movie. In real life.
Shrub Bub. Have you played Shrub Bub? That'd be a fun movie.
XCOM would be a good Netflix series. That'd be interesting. I don't know. I feel like that could be easily mishandled. Well, I guess anything could be. Well, anyway.
Yeah. Interesting.
Moving on. Maybe we can discuss that further in another episode for a discussion point. Next up, you go ahead and take this since you put this in.
Sure. Double Fine founder Tim Schafer will be honored with a BAFTA fellowship.
Hot damn.
Pretty amazing, right?
No,
I don't think so either.
I feel like nowadays everyone has a BAFTA.
I would say in the past 10 years, like they've been handing them out like candy.
Yeah.
And I like candy.
How come I don't have one?
Well, you need to be a game designer.
I know, because voice actors also have them.
Okay, well then you need to be a voice actor. Oh, boom.
Oh, you're fired.
So for those who may not know, Tim Schafer started his career back in the old LucasArts days with Secret of Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle. He moved on to create Double Fine, which created Broken Age, Psychonauts.
For a BAFTA, you need to be past your prime. Man, this is a vicious show today.
That's basically why I wanted to talk about this, is because what does this say about Tim Schafer? Like, I don't have a lot.
What is this like? Are BAFTAs now like in memoriam? Is that what of like careers?
Right. Like, is it the end of an era or whatever the Oscar? No, that's like this.
We're like Lifetime Achievement Award.
Right.
Where you're like old and retired and.
Like me personally, I like Tim Schafer. I like the majority of his games. I was really excited that he did the documentary for Broken Age, because I feel like he really gave a clear, point blank picture of like how it sucks to make a video game 90% of the time. I also think it shows his shortcomings as a designer. How he's kind of it's my way or the highway, and he makes decisions where ultimately just end up losing him money in the long run and things like that, which is fine. But when this came up and it was like, oh, BAFTA, like, yeah, you haven't really released a good game in a long time, man. Like, because now he's in the remake game, so like he's finally gotten back all of his IPs. So he was able to remake Grim Fandango. He's able to remake Full Throttle.
Well, I mean, from a business standpoint, he is just like, I mean, he's making his money back from the games. So, I mean, that's...
Oh, sure.
I can't blame him, to be honest. I don't particularly go for a whole lot of remasters just because I've already played it. I don't want to...
Right.
I mean, there's very rarely am I a huge fan of something that I will buy it multiple times. And then the other thing, I feel like outside of those remakes, I feel like he's going away from making games and going towards publishing.
Yeah.
You know, what was I mean, especially through like the Day of the Dev stuff he's doing. He's also like assisting a lot of. I don't know if he's necessarily publishing, but he's assisting a lot of games that are coming out. I think, what was it? I think it was where the water turns to wine. What's that game called? That's coming out soon.
I'll have to look it up.
By the way, I recently that game that I'm talking about, I just found out today as I was looking stuff up for IRX that if you guys remember who have been here for a while, a woman named Elizabeth LaPensée, who was like really hardcore into indigenous culture because she's I forget what the tribe's name is, but she is Native American. Like a good chunk of her ethnicity is anyway. But anyway, she writes for that game, and that was recently. I think it's like winning a lot of awards and attention. It's pretty cool.
Oh, cool!
So congrats to her. Where the water turns to wine, I think is what it's called.
I can't find it.
It's the Gold Watch of Awards, where they give it to you as part of your encouraged retirement. Gold watch with the engraving, it's time to stop. Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't really, and I did get the remake of Grim Fandango. I might have Day of the Tentacle, but that's through like free PSN stuff or PS Plus.
That's how I got them. But see, I never played those games.
I did not play Grim Fandango back in the day. Secret of Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle, I did, I think. Not Full Throttle. I do also have Broken Age, but that was new.
Yeah.
That's not a remake.
No.
And
I got through.
And I feel like he just kind of gave up too, because like a lot of his recent games are just like crashed and burned through.
Yeah, like Space Base SD9. Like,
well, so did Broken Age. I mean, people were really pissed about that.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know. Like, I just thought it was kind of funny because, like, I feel like Broken Age and that Kickstarter campaign made him the most famous he's probably ever been, and also completely crashed his career. Like, well, not crashed his career, but you know what I mean. Like, he hasn't done anything since, and that's, to me, that's notable. Other than what you were just mentioning about the publishing and that kind of thing.
I think our stream's being funky. Sorry, guys.
I dig that documentary, though. If you've never seen that documentary, it's really good.
I'll have to take a look. So, well, I guess congratulations to Tim Schafer. I mean, you're an extremely successful man, so best to you.
Right? Who are we?
You're really. But from a critique standpoint, maybe it's time to just stick to publishing. Who knows? Because you're putting out some cool games, publishing-wise, I will say. Anyway, lastly, we're going to talk about, it's not news necessarily, but a discussion point, because it was kind of a light news week. Although we spent a lot of time on the Papers, Please short film stuff. In light of all the violence and things like that, once again, people were not as much as like 1999, but some people are still stuck in that year where they're blaming video games for said violence, and which is complete and utter bullshit, to be perfectly honest. However, in light of that, I'd like to also point out the indie games especially tend to have a good place for the non-violent indie games, which you mentioned earlier about the Devil's Tuning Fork. So I was wondering, kind of in celebration of video games being awesome and can be poignant and non-violent and deliver a message and that sort of stuff. What are some of your favorite, what are the best non-violent indie games that you can think of?
Like, just off the top of my head, well, Braid. Braid's definitely going to be up there. Papers, Please would be up there.
Is that non-violent technically? Braid?
I mean,
and Papers, Please does have violence.
I mean, stomping on
it's technically violence. Bunny. I'm talking like, okay, look, like
Journey. What about Journey?
Journey is non-violent. Yes, Journey. Okay. Yes, definitely.
You sure?
Non-violent.
Really upset.
Technically speaking, is zero violence. Like it's just, I mean, because like you mentioned, stomping on a Goomba or whatever is still technically violence. We're talking like walking sims tend to be like that, you know. If you're
like
Gone
Home.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great one.
And what was the other one I was going to say? Papo and Yo. There is no. Is there? I'm trying to think if there is any actual violence in that game. There might be, actually, now that I think of it. Because there's, like, I think some frogs end up getting squished or something like that.
What's the
Abstract
what's
or
the
implied
robot
violence?
game that you say that's not an indie game?
Yeah.
Grow Home.
Grow Home, yeah. I mean, it's like
There's
indie,
lots.
It's that isn't that one of those games that was like funded by a AAA studio, but under
Yeah, they have an indie arm now.
yeah, it's fucking oxymoron. But anyway, the Ed and Eddie game. I didn't know there was an Ed and Eddie game. I didn't even like that show.
Game Boy Advance.
I did not like that show.
Well, it doesn't like you, so.
Yeah, Gone Home. I mean, that's what I was thinking. So Gone Home has like the implication that violence has occurred at some point.
Right.
Papa Yo is about.
What's the other one? Go ahead.
Papa Yo is there's alcohol abuse and stuff like that. But thinking about it, I think some things do actually get harmed in that game, if I remember correctly. Paradox games don't have gory violence, but they simulate war and genocide. That's violent. When you're wiping somebody out, even if there's not the image of it. There was a God. Why can't I think of it? Rev would have. Stardew Valley. No, there was violence in that too.
Yep.
Yeah. Shit.
What about Fez? Is there violence in Fez?
Fez didn't have any violence, I don't think. Yeah.
I mean, being sucked into those portals was never fun, but
Yonder, which came out last year. Yonder Cloud Chronicles, I really enjoyed. That was definitely non-violent, I believe. So there's that.
The Witness.
Yeah, The Witness is a good one. Usually,
it is a good one.
Usually, it's puzzle games and walking sims. It seems.
Yeah, or racing simulators.
I don't know. Those can get pretty violent.
I mean, I don't think the last Ridge Racer was that violent. I could
You
be
can
wrong.
crash and shit. I think I'm being a little nitpicky, actually. Lumini, you can dispose of enemies, kinda.
I mean, I think so. With it not so that ends up being the good question, right? So it's like, okay, so it's not violent.
Pong.
So it has to fall back on.
I don't know. I punched a friend over Pong. That's not true, but
Well,
people might have.
Fun.
So this is getting a little philosophical.
But it falls. You have to fall back onto something else, right? Because then you realize that there's a lot of games out there that are violent for violence sake, right?
Mm.
There's no real value in the game. There's no good story. There's no characters you can relate to. It's just about killing people.
How about Postal?
And then you take that element away, and you realize that the game is left with nothing. Do you know what I mean? Like, there is no story, there is no plot, there's no characters. And then using that as kind of as like the box to keep you in to make a game, you know, like how do you build within these constraints? Well, we can't kill anything, so how do we do it? Do you know? Like, I feel like, I mean, again,
I feel like there's some games nowadays that specifically go for nonviolence too. I'm having your brain's leaking over into mine now, where I just can't bring up things. Zelda is violent, especially toward grass and pottery.
Very
I mean,
true.
you attack
Chickens.
enemies in Zelda.
He's making a joke.
But yes, I mean, I would say not towards environment would count. Would be my guess.
Right.
I'm trying to think now of games I have that are non-violent. Postal 2 is violence because Postal has an ending that questions humanity, including your own as the player. Who knew Postal
What was that
so
one
deep?
game that never even came out because it was all about killing innocent people and
Hate-
going on massacres and
Hatred or something?
yeah, I think that's what it was called. Like, people were all up in arms about that. I'm like, what? There are scenes like this in modern gaming now. Like, there's a Call of Duty game where, like, you literally walked into an airport and just gunned down innocent people. Nobody seemed to really give a shit about that. That game's on store shelves selling for $60 a pop. Like,
So here's the thing. So, like, that game, I don't know. That guy seemed kind of like a prick, to be honest.
He was doing it to make a point. He wanted to see how far he could go with it.
But yeah, I'm very into free speech.
Are you?
I am. However, we talk when that happened. I can't talk. Hold on.
Oh wait.
When that happened, we talked about. This was before you came on the show, but we had talked about another game where it was basically killing. What was it? Native Americans or something? I think it was Native Americans. It was like Custer's Last Stand. I think it was called. Simply for killing Native Americans. Like there was no point to it.
Sure. No, there's a point to it. It's just not one that you agree with.
Well, I mean, like when you're doing it out of hate,
right.
Or you know what I mean, or like it's just, it's like making a game where you just burn Jewish people alive. You know what I mean, like,
sure.
And there's nothing else to it. Why? What point are you making with that, other than just being a shitlord, shock tactic type of thing?
That's that.
It's
or
not.
You're just,
There's no purpose.
You're just going after a very selected group of people.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's no purpose other than to piss people off, I guess.
Right.
And it's not illegal or anything, obviously, but to make a game about that. But
that's pretty screwed up.
It's fucked up.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to do.
However, a game like Hatred, I remember like way back when on Newgrounds, and this was like pretty, like Columbine and shit like that was pretty raw in people's minds and stuff.
Yeah.
Newgrounds had made that game Pico School.
Okay, yeah.
Where Pico just goes in and starts shooting up the school. Right? So, and I was also, when that was a thing, I was a teenager. Not as mature. But at the same time, even now, I'm still like, I don't know, it doesn't bother me.
Right. It's just a game.
Yeah, and the fact that in that game had, came up and probably helped Newgrounds grow like it did. I mean, it was already pretty popular, but that game specifically had gotten brought up in the whole school shooting fiasco back then. And in my mind, it was just, why? How about you just parent your kids? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then of course there's the whole mental illness thing, and of course that's an issue as well. And there's a whole lot of other things that go into it, which we're not going to go on to. We're not going to go into on this show. But the point is, we kind of strayed away from non-violent indie games. But the point is that games are not to blame, for one, for any kind of violence out in the world. Two, indie games are a pretty special place because they can bring a game that, I can't think of a AAA game that would be considered non-violent. Is, I guess, maybe Harvest Moon. I don't know if there's any fighting in Harvest Moon. It's been a long time.
I don't know. Or maybe like, what's those games? Stupid Nintendo games. Let me see if I can find it.
Baron Kraken's in the chat just trying to fuck my shit. Isn't allowing violence toward established environments and labeling it non-violent, lying for the subliminal acceptance of real world apathy toward the real environment. Yeah, man, gotta save the trees.
There you go.
That's a lesson to take away from this. Anyway, before this gets too deep into something I really don't want to bring up on the show, I think it's time to violently start a riot.
This week on Starting the Riots, we're talking about Celeste. Came out, not too long ago.
End of January, I believe.
Yeah, okay. From the creators of Towerfall, which, I don't know if you want to trust Towerfall.
You didn't like Towerfall?
Well, they were in the whole Ouya Finasco, so I don't know if I'm just.
Oh, that
Ouya.
I totally forgot about that. We talked about that a lot back in the day.
Yeah. They were one of the. They were.
That was also. I'm pretty sure that's not how it was pronounced.
Yeah. Matt Makes Games is the developer. Ouya. Celeste is a. I'm gonna say it again, and I hate saying it. A puzzle platformer. 8-bit, 16-bit style. It started off as a free game, if I believe.
I thought it was just a demo.
Maybe it was a demo. My recollection of this game being created, it was based on the Pico 8. Do you know what the Pico 8 is?
No.
So it's actually kind of an interesting idea. The Pico 8 is at least I think that's how you pronounce it, is a fake console that does not exist. But there is a group of developers who develop games for it. So basically, it's what I was mentioning earlier of creating a game within a world of restraints. So the Pico 8 only has a set number of colors of palette. Can only have so much animation. The music can only be in a certain way. Huh? It
sounds like a game jam.
Yeah, sort of. It's the similar idea. But instead of it's like, oh no, this is it's a Pico 8 game. You don't have a Pico 8? Like, come on, man. You pick up a Pico 8 by Celeste. And then they turned it into a full-fledged game that's been fully released on Xbox and Microsoft and Sony PlayStation, Nintendo Switch, Steam. Mm-hmm. The main mechanic, as you're getting ready to see maybe through this terrible gameplay, is it's all about jumping through the air. And it does a very good job of teaching you that mechanic in all sorts of ways to use it, and then slowly kind of develops you into the rest of the gameplay mechanics by not using a lot of long tutorials. So it's the old school way of teaching you how to play a video game.
I mean, this is yet another game that's dredging up the
nostalgia.
Thank you. I almost said narcolepsy. That was not the right word that I was going for. One thing that's interesting is that the music was made by Miniboss.
Shit! What?
Yeah,
I missed that.
Yeah, so that was pretty cool. I didn't realize that until today. So soundtrack, I might add that to our soundtrack list.
You're gonna have to, man. Miniboss is the bomb.
Yeah. So it is actually out for Steam, Itch.io, the fucking Switch.
The fucking Switch.
PS4 and Xbox. So it's all over the goddamn place.
Yeah.
And you can also just buy the soundtrack off of Bandcamp if you are so inclined. I would imagine that they have it bundled on Steam. I didn't actually look. Let me take a look here. Nope.
No?
They do have a link to the Bandcamp on the Steam page, but it's not.
But it's not like a bundled price.
Yeah. Right. Excuse me. It's currently $19.99 Windows, Mac, and Linux.
Totally worth it.
Overwhelmingly positive, as Eric had said earlier. I don't know if it was during the segment or not, but that it's recently garnered a lot of attention. A little bit late. It wasn't like hugely popular on its opening day, I don't think. But recently has been picked up by a lot of YouTubers and it's gotten a lot of.
Do you know why?
Why's that?
Because it got released on the Switch. That's when everybody started picking it up.
I don't know about that. Maybe for you, you console.
No, I know.
You console bitch.
Well, that makes me a bitch.
PC Master Race. I don't really give a shit.
You seem to care quite a bit.
I don't. Well, it's actually this. So the gameplay in this is actually really challenging. You can make it a little easier on yourself by just making your way to the next screen. But if you want to get all of the little collectible light things that are floating around, they are
strawberries.
In the strawberries.
Strawberries.
They're in very difficult places on the map. And you have to utilize that dash move like perfectly. Mm-hmm. One of the things that are most difficult about these games is making sure that the controls are tight.
Yep.
I I don't know how many platformers I've played where it's just some of them are slidey on purpose, like Meat Boy, like Super Meat Boy.
Sure. But you learn it that way. Like it's a mechanic. It's not
right.
a shortcoming of the programming.
Right. And levels are designed around that.
Right.
A lot of platformers are not. They're designed to be difficult, but then they have slidey controls or just maybe not well thought out controls, and it's difficult. Not necessarily because of the level design, but because the controls are just shit.
Right.
They do a good job in this game making the controls tight, so it is very challenging, but not frustratingly impossible. You know, you end up getting it after several tries usually. Sometimes more than that, but it's still, you can tell it's your fault when you fuck up.
Right.
There's also some cool little secrets, like you can like dig out, I think, certain parts of the level, like the snow and stuff like that, to find some cool things. There's also
and the story is really cool too. So the story is basically just about this woman who wants to climb the Celeste Mountain.
Yeah,
and that's it. It's just her journey to climb this mountain.
I was just about to bring up.
Cool.
I was just about to bring up the fact that the creepy old man in the beginning was appreciated, like the whole like horror trope of like you should turn back.
Yeah.
He was like rude to her, and she was kind of a jerk to him. It was kind of nice. It was refreshing instead of the.
Did you like that? That make you feel good?
I did. Yeah,
Good.
Reminded me of myself.
Oh, weird.
I want to be a curmudgeon-y old man when I grow older.
I mean, you're already
Sure.
curmudgeon.
You're more curmudgeon-y than I am.
Oh, that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
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 Yeah, so if you're looking for a definite challenging game that has a lot to give back, this is a good choice.
From the creators of Towerfall, who I totally forgot released on the Ouya.
Ouya.
Is that how you pronounce it? I forget now. It's been
That's
so
how you
long.
pronounce it. I remember the day that they released that soundbite of how you actually pronounce that word.
Ouya.
And I was very disappointed, and that was the first downfall of the.
I think I was calling it the Ouya
Probably, yeah.
or something.
It's
I don't.
shit. Just so you know, it's trash.
Well, you know what's not trash?
Still got mine on the shelf. Peep show.
Peep Show.
Please give all your attention to Early Access.
This week on Peep Show, we're talking about a game called Lobotomy Corporation. Corporation by Project Moon. I don't know why I went into that. That was your fault.
Yeah.
Lobotomy Corporation. Face the fear. Build the future. So you're playing. This is a sim management type of game where you're playing as an administrator of a company which is doing the job of managing monsters and creatures and such. A lot of people get actually has it in its description. Kind of like the SCP Foundation, if you know the SCP games and the lore from creepypastas and yada yada. Basically, there were some TV shows that were kind of, I don't know if they were based off of it necessarily, but same concept, where there's like a secret organization underground. They have a big facility where they contain creatures and like evil things or things that are just, what's the word I'm looking for, that are...
I mean, the Lovecraftian.
Sure, that's not what I was looking
that.
for, but you know, those kinds of things.
Cthulhu-ish.
I was
Otherworldly.
Sure. That's still not quite what I was looking for, but better.
My balls on your chest.
But in this case, they're actually trying to harness the monsters because they're creating a new energy source, and it's our job as the player to collect them, and using your. I think it's kind of like Dwarf Fortressy in a sense that you have these subordinates that are doing tasks in order to maximize your efficiency of collecting this energy, and then of course you can level up, open up new departments, make your efficiency better, all that sort of stuff. It is also kind of a roguelike. It's a roguelite is what they're calling it.
What does that even
I
mean?
don't know. I gave up on the whole definition of that for a while. But anyway, so I'm assuming that usually it means that you start over at some point. I have not actually played this game, unfortunately. I haven't been able to get my hands on it, but that's how they're explaining it. One of the things I've always liked sim management games and things like that. You know what this kind of reminds me of? It's like SCP mixed with Monsters Inc.
Yeah,
because of the whole energy thing.
Yeah.
But anyway, I've liked sim management, but this kind of also has the whole collect 'em up kind of feel to it too.
Yeah, and there's like some combat.
Yeah, some turn-based combat and unique artwork too.
Unique New York.
Well, it's kind of like
it's got that. I mean, I think I mentioned
it's
it a
dark
couple
and
episodes
cutesy.
ago. Yeah, it's got that Newgrounds flashy look to it.
I just realized I'm not showing any of the gameplay, so here you go. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. We're prettier.
Yeah.
No, it reminds me of that flashy like Newgrounds flash animation style, where it's like that weird anime-ish.
Sort of. Yeah, so it's like the high school teenager. This sounds like, I don't know, it kind of sounds like an insult, but it's like high school teenagers that are trying to be serious but still can't get away from the anime fan drawings.
Right.
A little bit like that. I don't believe that these people. I think these people are actually from Korea, if I'm not mistaken. When it's .kr at the end of a website, that's Korea, right?
Jesus, I don't know.
.kr. Someone confirm that in the chat. I believe it's from Korea.
South Korea.
But, yeah, of course.
Republic of Korea.
No, Kim
there's a
Jong-un
North
actually made
Korea.
this game.
There is a North Korea.
Yeah, but you think they're going to release a game?
You don't know.
I'd be brave of them. I'd be very highly surprised.
You are so brave releasing a video game. Did you see that? Did we talk about that? Did you see the active user map that Steam put out?
No.
Okay, so you have to search for this because it's fucking hilarious. So a couple of weeks ago, I guess now, Steam released just like a map of the world where all the active Steam users were like at that certain time, and it, obviously, the United States was all lit up, and England was all lit up, and parts of Canada and all that shit. I shit you not, there was one tiny little dot in North Korea.
Just one?
Just one, and the only way that somebody would have access to Steam inside North Korea would have to work for the North Korean government and have permission from Kim Jong-un to run it.
That would not surprise me.
It's actually him.
That would not surprise me in the least if he was playing. If he was the only one playing Steam, because he's a fucking man-child.
Yeah, like it was when that got released. I was like, "You got to be kidding me, really, asshole." Oh well.
I feel bad for North Koreans. No way. Anyway, Lobotomy Corporation is currently $19.99 on Steam. Of course, it is early access. I'm not exactly sure. I haven't taken a deep dive into their development plans as far as like what they're planning on adding into the game, but it's been out since actually December of 2016, so for a little over a year now in early access on Steam. So usually what early access goes for like 2 years, usually.
Yeah.
Unless you're, I don't know, Rust or something, I don't know. Man, I'm losing my voice. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we missed before moving on.
No.
Our new technology will bring salvation to the human race. That's the energy. The administration launched. Looking at their updates, just a bunch of bug fishes. They added some translations most recently. Let me take a look here. No. Notice a future roadmap. Financial situation. No, they're not going into anything specific. They're just talking about... Yeah. Anyway. So that's pretty much it for right now, Lobotomy Corporation. I think it looks really cool. Kind of my in a couple of genres I'm into. The art is interesting. A little bit flashy, isn't like Adobe Flash, but that's not a bad thing necessarily.
Yeah, I think it'll be once it's finished, I think it should be a fun game.
Everyone should always take early access with a grain of salt. We've said that from the very first episode of Indie Game Riot. But we try and pick out the ones that we think will make the cut when it's all said and done, to be honest. Well, you know what we should cut to now? We should make a cut to free fun. This week on Free Fun, we've got a fun little horror game called, and it's free, called Under the Bed.
Under the Bed.
By Camelot, with a K-H. So Camelot.
That's not how you spell it.
Camelot. That's how you spell it. It's on their Itch.io page, which you can find this on Itch.io for free. But I always suggest that when you go to download it, please consider supporting the dev by doing the pay what you want thing.
Mm-hmm.
Although you can actually play this in browser, but it's always cool to throw them a few bucks. Under the Bed by Camelot is you, a child, waking up in the middle of the night in the pitch dark, and having to explore your house with monsters and things that you can only escape by covering your eyes because you're a child, and that's what children do. And apparently in this world, it works.
It's true.
You know what? This game, I changed my mind. This game is coddling children, and they should be shown that this kid gets eaten to death by these monsters because the world does not work that way. And if you cover your eyes when something makes you afraid, you will die. That's why I teach my kids. Not really.
Someone probably need to call some sort of social service then.
Not really.
That's not.
I'm gonna teach your kid that too.
No,
I'm gonna traumatize your kid.
No.
Ooh, see in the gameplay there, you're seeing the monster's eyeballs, and you close your eyes.
He's gone.
When you close your eyes, he's gone.
So the game was originally developed in a 3D game jam. Says it was. What was I reading? I can't find it now. Short game, 10 to 20 minutes.
It is simple puzzles that you have to solve.
Yeah, so like the first puzzle is you are locked inside your bedroom. So you got to figure out how to unlock it.
Should mention too that the game pauses when you close your eyes, so it's not like you can just walk around with your eyes closed.
Right, and you can only see the world when you pause the game. So you have to pause the game to be able to play it.
It is actually only 10 to 20 minutes to play, so you're not using up a lot of your time to give it a try. I have to say, good job to Camelot.
Yeah, it's a very, very cool idea.
2D immersive games.
More like this, please.
Yes. Haunt Eric's dreams, make him spin out of control and out of touch with reality. And
I don't know what that means. It's not good. I don't know. Those things are good.
You know what is not good or could be good depending on your view of things?
It's saying goodbye.
The end of the show. That's right. This is the end of the show.
The slow.
If you enjoyed this show, please consider checking us out on Patreon. Patreon.com/IndieGameRiot. Financial support is always appreciated and helps us grow this show and helps us help indie games and indie devs and show them off to you all as we curate the best of the best, in our opinion, for you. Another thing I'd like to point out is that for those of you, there are a lot of new people in the chat on live recording. We do record every Wednesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, unless otherwise noted. Like last week, we had Valentine's Day, so we kind of had family things to do with spouses and whatnot. But usually, it is every Wednesday. And give us a follow if you enjoyed the show. Appreciate it. And so that way you get notified every time we go live. Some other things you can do to help us out is by checking us out on Twitter at IGR Podcast or Facebook.com/IGR Podcast. And you can send us things like news that are indie game related, games that we should check out, people to interview, that sort of stuff. Or you can just email them to us at to contact@indiegameriot.com. A couple other notes I want to point out is that on this coming Friday, the time of this recording, this coming Friday, is the second Indie Fireside discussion meeting. So for those of you who don't know, Indie Fireside is every month we pick a game that is $10 or less, so that's somewhat affordable. We also try and get some extra keys to help out those who might not be able to afford it for whatever reason, but still want to participate. You play those games throughout the month, you can talk about them, but then at the last Friday of every month, we have a discussion about that game, kind of like a book club. So it's an in-depth discussion, kind of lasts, however long. Last month was Snail Trek, the Snail Trek series. This month, we're doing Simulacra, which you can find on Steam. And again, if you can't afford it for whatever reason but want to join us, just DM someone in our Discord channel. You will have to join our Discord channel, which for those on Twitch, the button is below the stream. For those on YouTube or wherever else, there is a link in the description. Because everything will take place on Discord as far as the discussion goes. And that will also be streamed right here on Twitch. It's a good time all around. And again, Simulacra only takes a few hours to play through, I believe. And it is led by Vance, and actually Hale Gaborn in chat, who is Vance, just showed up. You can always contact him with more information or questions or whatever, as he's the one that leads it. And yeah, we hope to see you all there. As many people that want to participate, the better. The more people, the better. The other thing is that I am finally starting to really hardcore plan and get things ready for IRX. Usually I start in January, but I've had a lot of shit going on. So I'm kind of playing catch up now. But Indie Revolution Expo, again, if you don't know, is every year we do a digital, completely free, completely digital indie game convention called Indie Revolution Expo right here on Twitch. And we'll open up registration for that soon, where you can just register your game to have it shown off during the expo. Of course, there's also presentations that you can sign up for if you think you have something to talk about or teach people or that sort of stuff. It's a good time. It's a good time. Eric, make sure you're available this time.
I'm going to try.
You better be. You motherfucking better be.
Try.
Anyway. So we do have a mailing list to keep up to date with everything, so I highly suggest that we have a sign-up form on our website under the Indie Revolution Expo tab, but you can also just message me and I can add your email if you would like that as well. Any last words for you, Eric?
Support the games you love and stay indie.
Say your goodbyes.
Goodbye.
Toodles!